So after the wonderful launch of EA/Codemasters' new F1 game, F1 22 went pretty well, especially for those on Steam. The game has been out for a while now after a few updates fixing a few bugs with the game. I am glad that Codemasters is constantly updating the game as usual, and that we finally have an AI fix, though I believe they just made the AI slower off corners, which seems like an easier fix that shouldn't take much time. But what do I know? I'm not a developer. Either way, I like the new physics and they are nice to play with. They are more twitchy than previous games, and although some people say that it's not a full simulation, it still feels quite good. And we are not F1 drivers, so we can't be too objective. If only we could get a real driver's detailed and honest view on it, that would be nice. Now, although Steam reviews are still not looking good compared to previous games, good job EA. This video is not a review or to talk about the bugs or my worries of the game's future. It is more towards the little nitpicks I have with this game, and those are just things that Codemasters could either change or have added quite easily, as they don't change much or anything in the fundamental code of the game. So let's get to it. Number 1. The static droplets on the cars. It's been a thing for years now, and is this really what Codemasters think a car looks like when it's traveling at 300 kilometers per hour? If it's to tell you that it's still raining or something, the only visual cues I look for are the track dampness and the streaks of rain moving through the car. In fact, it should be only those streaks that we see, and there should be more. The static droplets should only be there when the car is stationary and move away as you move forward. For example, it should look more like this. I'll let you guess what game this is. Now I have to admit that they are not the only game studio making these decisions of static droplets on cars while it's traveling so fast, but I really think studios should now move away from that because it just doesn't make a lot of sense. Number 2. The visor view in wet weather. It's weird that in previous games, there used to be an animation on the droplets of rain on the screen. Instead of improving this animation, it has now gotten worse since F1 2021, and all we see is static droplets and then some just slide down. In F1 22 on the TV pod view, for some reason they decided to get rid of the droplets on the screen. I don't mind that, as it was a bit of a distraction, but for some reason supercars have a better animation on their windshield. To this day, Drive Club still has the best rain animation, and it's nearly 10 years old, which is crazy that there really isn't a game out there that beats it. Only Assetto Corsa with the Soul mod actually beats basically every sim racing game on the market with the rain animation. It's always interesting to see what modders can do. Number 3. The spray could be better. Seems like a lot of my nitpicks are in the wet, so I guess we can call this section of the video the rain nitpicks or something. I can't say previous games had better spray, but it looked pretty good. Although visibility was still not much of an issue, this year, I don't like it. I wish it was a little bit more like that mod for the F1 2020 game, and I wish someone could make that mod for this game as well, as it will make racing in VR even more immersive. But I do have this one problem with VR. Actually, more than one problem, but more on that later. More spray means you won't see anything just like the real drivers. Obviously, it would be more of a gimmick, but still fun. I would also like if there was a way to also improve the rain animation on the visor, but to be honest, I don't really care. Number 4. A drying line. Can we just get that, please? And to add to that, since it has to do with the track textures as well, what are those random puddles scattered on the track? I don't think it's very realistic for a track that is supposed to be quite smooth, unless it's a road track, but you see what I mean. I guess Codemasters F1 tracks are just super bumpy, and puddles appear just about everywhere. You don't even see as many puddles in real life. I could mention Madness Engine, but nah, we already know at this point what it's capable of, and we don't really need to get into the nitty-gritty details about that. I still believe F1 2020 had one of the best wet track looks, minus the insane reflectivity of the rain. Basically what I'm trying to say is, just get rid of the puddles, unless if it's in a location that would make sense for the track. Those scattered puddles just look absolutely terrible. Number 5. VR is not that good. First, here are my specs. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. It's really a question of if the game wants to launch or not, but when the game launches, it's only a matter of time until VR basically crashes when I'm in the middle of a race or just driving about. I never had that happen to me in any other racing sim or any other VR game, even after I have driven or played for over an hour or close to 2 hours. If I'm doing something wrong, please send help, because all the other VR games that I have run perfectly. And I can't forget, unless if I'm the only one, what is up with the head tracking? You don't see it in the recordings, but if you have a VR headset, try shaking your head and then you'll see that the world is not completely stationary and sometimes tries to follow your head movement, making the VR lose its center quite easily. That is just confusing. How they said they had around 9 months of development, and I don't understand how these issues are still in the game. Number 6. The female team member. Now, I don't know what happened here, but in comparison to F1 2021, there were more female team members, and now for some reason, we only get this one with a different skin color variation. And I have to say that haircut looks awfully like someone who might want to speak to a manager from time to time. I wonder how this happened, and why not just either scan more or just use some of those ladies? Could there be some kind of licensing for these faces that ran out? And now on to number 7. The sector timing UI. This one is one of the more confusing features that got removed from the game, because who thought this made more sense than this? Now all I see is a green or red bar saying that I'm going faster or slower, but I don't know by how much. To put it simply, in previous games, I was able to tell just how much I am gaining or losing in the sectors, which was helpful, but now there really isn't any point in paying attention. Just drive fast, I guess. I really don't know why they got rid of that, because it was very helpful in the previous games, and I hope I'm not the only one who actually used it or who actually found it helpful. Number 8. The animations. This has also been a thing for years. They add new animations in the following games, but some that came the year before are thrown away. It's sad that after 5 races or so, you have seen all the animations they have to offer, and you just want to skip. Even though it's a racing game and not a movie, I just wish there was more variety, and that they just kept adding as the years go by. Especially now that they've mentioned that they use mocap for their animations. This should make things a lot easier and give them the ability to add many more animations. Number 9. The sounds. This is the final nitpick that I have for this video. There may be more, but I think they're a little bit too small to even care about. Honestly, the sounds are good, but they could be better. They could be louder and more aggressive. Even though 2022 F1 cars have the wastegate now inside the main exhaust, just like from 2014 to 2015, unlike 2021, I still feel like the sounds in the game are a bit more tame than what we hear in real life. Or at least from what we get from the broadcast, since I haven't been at an F1 race. I wish they sounded more like what Assetto Corsa modded F1 cars sound like, which sounds close to the real thing with the aggression and the Doppler effect. Like this comparison. Also, this audio bug, I just can't get over it. So those are the small issues I have with this game. Other issues I have to say are either larger and would take more time to implement, or just too small to even mention. Also, these other issues, some of them are being fixed or are already fixed, but otherwise they are mostly wishes for F123 if EA doesn't run this company to the ground. But that is it for now, and I would like to know if those issues also bother you guys, and maybe if you have some other small nitpicks that I haven't mentioned. Besides, I don't demand these changes as they have more important things to fix, but I have to say VR does need to get a lot better. Anyway, thank you for watching, and if you somehow watched the whole thing, I think you may need to see a therapist after questioning why you wasted your time watching this. But if you think you can enjoy some more, give it a like and a sub, and we'll see each other in the next video, if you think you'll last. Goodbye.